බලාගෙන. Hi, welcome to the Bistec Technology Podcast, Bistec Tech Show Episode 2. I'm Gayashan Wagachchi from Bistec Global.
And I'm Chandima Ranaweera from Bistec Global.
We are streaming live from Hatchworks, Colombo. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and also LinkedIn. Let's roll the intro.
Yeah.
Hi Chandima, how are you?
Good. What about you?
I'm good too. So we are in the office space today, and we have pretty interesting topics to discuss today. And today's episode is going to be interesting one.
Definitely.
Yeah. So before jump into the coding and everything, I kind of thought of telling a story, right? So what do you know about most abundant elements of life?
You mean like the elements mean the atoms?
No, the elements like carbon, nitrogen, things like that.
I know about gold.
Yeah, gold is not the most abundant one in our body, but maybe on some people's body.
Definitely.
Yeah, but mostly made of water, right? Water is H2O, and hydrogen and oxygen are, of course, there. And we are a carbon-based life, so carbon is also there. So the most abundant elements of life is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
Yeah.
So, what are the most abundant elements of the universe?
Carbon?
I need a list.
Okay, so if it was my universe, it should be diamonds.
So carbon, right?
Carbon.
Okay, so in the universe, the most abundant elements are hydrogen, helium, oxygen, and carbon. So there is a almost one-to-one match between those two, right? If you make the helium out of the equation, then there is exactly one-to-one match. And it makes sense because we are in this universe, we are made of the things that universe is made of.
We are part of universe.
Yes, exactly. So, and it also makes sense in our body there is no helium because helium is an inactive element. It don't interact with other elements, so helium cannot make molecules. So we don't have helium in our body. Now, if we made of like weird isotope of bismuth or iodine, then you can say like, we are special. We are not from here. We are not from this universe. But we are not. There is a one-to-one match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you ever wondered where those elements came from?
Sea.
I'm sorry?
From the sea.
From the sea. But for the sea, where those elements came from?
No. Moon, the stars.
The stars. The stars. So everything started with the Big Bang. I'm very sure that you heard of Big Bang. It's the birth of the universe.
The sitcom, right?
Yeah, there is a sitcom called Big Bang Theory. Yeah. So after the Big Bang, the stars was formed, and in the core of these stars, there is this pretty interesting process called fusion.
Okay.
Fusion is the process creating heavier elements out of light elements.
Uh-huh.
For example, hydrogen is the lightest element, one proton and one electron, and hydrogen goes through the fusion. Two hydrogen atoms fused into each other to make one helium atom. Helium is a heavier element. And likewise, lithium, carbon, oxygen, and all the other heavier elements, all the other elements in the periodic table is formed.
So gold is formed the same way. Right?
Yeah. So gold is forged, created in the course of these stars.
But it will take so many years, right?
It will take billions of billions years, but that is the way it is created. So, yeah, heavy mass ones exploded at some point of its lifespan.
Okay.
And these forged elements, heavier elements, scattered through the galaxy as gas clouds. And these gas clouds are hotter at the first, but with time they cooled down and they collapsed to make new planetary systems, new stars, new planets.
Just like ours.
Yeah, just like ours. So now these planets have those ingredients to make life.
Yeah.
So basically, our elements are created, formed in the core of these stars.
Okay. So we came from the stars,
Pretty much we came from these stars.
and now we are trying to go to stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So in the history of human race, humans always wondered, looking at the night sky, what are those shining little spots, shining little things, stars.
The lights.
Yeah, they never knew we came from those stars.
Yeah.
The science enable us to know that fact. It's always fascinates me.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. That is how we got our atoms. They came from stars. So we are made of stars. So we are basically star children, right?
Yeah. So speaking about stars, shall we look at the GitHub?
Yeah, let's go into GitHub. Our first topic is Avalonia UI. Let's see how many stars Avalonia UI got in the GitHub.
Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. So you can see, like, in the stars, you got 17, almost 17,000 stars for Avalonia.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Avalonia.
Yeah, let's talk about Avalonia. Avalonia is a cross-platform development framework, and it's open source. So for a open source project, having all those stars, having this big community is a huge thing, right?
Yeah, so they are called stargazers, right? So whoever going through these open source projects. So if you like it, if you have used it, please give a star to that project.
Yeah.
That will encourage the people who are working on that.
Yeah.
Right. So again, like Avalonia is having a massive amount of stars, considering it's an open source project and it's having like so many contributors. So if we go down, we can see I don't know the number. So it has a huge amount of contributors, which I haven't seen in any other projects. So this is a huge contribution that we can see to an open source project, right? So the thing is, like, being the users of open source community, like every day we are using open source tools, open source libraries, and it's our responsibility that we also do the same contribution to the community, right? So by looking at this Avalonia, we can see that these people who are working in different companies, but they are like expending their valuable time, right? Their free time to help others. So it's goes without saying, like sharing is caring, right?
Yes.
So you are sharing your knowledge, you are sharing your effort to help others. I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, as developers, we my personal opinion is we always should encourage the open source community to grow.
Definitely. So even Microsoft now has open sourced everything, right? So they have like
They realized that
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
They have realized that you can't go forward, like go to the future without open source, and like keeping the source inside your houses and nurturing it is not the way. So you have to make it open and get help from others, so they will help you in a ways that you can't even imagine.
Yes. So talking about Avalonia, with Avalonia framework, you can develop to Windows, Mac OS, Linux, iOS, uh, Android, and also web app assembly to the browser.
Yeah, it's a cross-platform, multi-platform application solution, right? So as you said, if you want to develop desktop applications, it supports Mac, Windows, and Linux, right? And if you want to go for mobile, you get the Apple iOS and also the Android, and also for the browser, now it support WebAssembly, right? You can write your code with .NET, and it will run on the browser.
Yeah. So we talked about Mavi in the last episode,
Yeah.
and Mavi is also a cross-platform development framework. It's released with .NET 7. So these two things, Avalonia and Mavi, are they different or are they the same? What are your thoughts about that?
So in terms of purpose, I think they are same, right? So both frameworks are trying to do the same thing. So we need like hybrid applications, hybrid development, where you develop once and you can deploy it to any platform, right? But in terms of the experience or the maturity of the framework, I think Avalonia has been there around 8 years, right? So
Pretty long time.
Yeah, that's a pretty long time, and it got like amazing number of stars.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you look at, so I'm sharing again like the .NET Mavi platform, right? So you can see it's having around 18k, like 18,000 stars.
More
Right.
than Avalonia.
Yeah, pretty much. So thing is like Avalonia is having good support from JetBrains.
Yeah.
So they are having this Rider, and Rider has a good plugin where you can develop Avalonia, right? But when you compare JetBrains to Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, and
It's a
they
tech
got
giant, obviously.
they got like a lot of marketing aspects going on, and also Mavi is also good, right? So the product is now like stable compared to the version that they were trying to release with the .NET 6. Now it's .NET 7, and Mavi is stable. And only thing is like it will take some time to developers to adapt to that, and also like develop some components around it. So Avalonia basically has those components, those documentations and everything, right? But eventually I think Mavi will surpass Avalonia. It's a fact.
Yeah. So Mavi is still like a newborn baby. It's pretty new, but with time it will evolve, and we could be able to see pretty interesting things with Mavi also, right?
Yeah, the thing with technology is like we had Blazor before, now we have Mavi, and we have Mavi with Blazor. So the technology keeps updating. So you can't really imagine like after 2 years what will be the framework that will be running, right?
Yeah.
But definitely Mavi will have its place.
Okay. Yeah. Now I have this thought. There might be native Android or native iOS, macOS developers. With these cross-platform development tools, are they going to be obsolete?
So it's like this, Gayashan. So if we think about why these hybrid frameworks came into the picture, right? So let's say we are developing an application using Android, like native Android with Java or Kotlin, or we are developing iOS application with Objective-C, but not Objective-C, maybe Swift, right? So the thing is like it's very hard to keep up these both application, both platforms, if you want to maintain a single application for both platforms, right? So there will be like feature gaps. Some let's say like in a typical scenario there will be two teams developing these two products, right? And one team might go faster, the other team might have to like catch up with that team, and there will be some technical issues when it comes to like two different platforms, right? So the thing is like if you really need the native development, right? So the use cases will be like if you want to really focus on the hardware aspects of the device, let's say the mobile, you want to work on the accelerometer or the native the camera hardware, right? And likewise, like if you want to access the hardware levels, then definitely you might want to go with the native SDKs. But if not, if you are like developing a business scenario where you use like minimal amount of the hardware, right? In that case, like using a hybrid framework which is like suitable for your developers will be the best way to go.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is from your thoughts, being a native developer, it's always good to keep on eye on these cross-platform tools.
Yeah, so it's a must. Like now the thing is like technologies are being keep coming into the picture, right? Coming into the ecosystem. So you can't really learn one thing and you can't live with it the whole time, right? So if you know Java and Android, so maybe now couple of years later, so the Android platform might be like using full Dart implementation with Flutter and all, right? So then you might not get a chance to go with that Java based development. So it's a must that you keep up with the new technologies and being up to date and focus on maybe the mobile side, the hybrid side.
And that's exactly why we are bringing this podcast to you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go into the discussion of Fluent UI. Fluent UI by Microsoft. And Fluent UI is a collection of UI UX frameworks, and it's also cross-platform and open source. And Microsoft says build for one platform or all. Everything you need is here. So, what do you think about Fluent UI?
Yeah, so to be honest, so I'm not really familiar with this Fluent UI, right? I haven't heard about it a lot, but the thing is, I have heard about the platform called Office UI Fabric, which was like in earlier days, it was used across these all the Microsoft tools like the Office 365, the Office Outlook, or the Word, like and also the SharePoint. All these components were sharing the same look and feel, right? So I think what Microsoft has done is like they have rebranded the same set of components, right? And also they have used the latest web components technology, right? So if you are using web components, the thing is like you don't need separate UI framework running behind, right? So you can natively export any of your components into a web component, and let's say you are developing your web components with Angular, and you can use the same component in the React front end, right? And I think React was like go-to framework of Microsoft, but with web components there is no limitation, right? So you develop it with one framework and it's used in different frameworks.
Yeah. I think users can see the web page through the screen share also. So now before Fluent UI, as you said, before Fluent UI, there was Office UI Fabric JS. So now those components are under Fluent UI. So like Fluent UI is like umbrella term for collection of all the frameworks and all the components made by Microsoft, right?
Yeah, definitely. So it's again web-based components.
So you can use anywhere, right? For
Yeah.
any work, any framework.
Yeah, so the thing is like this HTML and CSS has come a long way now, right? So you run it on browser, you run it on mobile, you run it on desktop, right? So you have this Electron and whatnot, other frameworks, right? So I think developing a component library for like JavaScript and HTML means like you are capturing all the aspects. So that's what Microsoft is trying to do here.
Yeah. So as you said, there are so many component libraries out there,
Yeah.
like Material UI, now named MUI.
Yeah, it was recently renamed.
Yeah, and Bootstrap, Tailwind UI, Daisy UI, and some of them are highly opinionated, and some of them are not. And there are pros and cons, obviously. So I guess Fluent UI falls under the highly opinionated ones, right? Because they're trying to achieve the Microsoft kind of look and feel.
Yeah, I guess yes, Gayashan. Like in earlier days, like if you are using Office UI Fabric, right? If you're using those components, the main idea is like you had this SharePoint backend, right, which was running Office UI Fabric, and if you are developing SPFX or you call it like SharePoint Framework extensions, right? We have to use Office UI Fabric components in order to make sure that your developed web part or the part of the application is not separated out from the rest of the background, right? So it gives a look and feel that your application belongs to the whole page, right? That's what like even Fluent UI, I think it's having its own set of colors and themes, and if you use it, you can see that Microsoft branding everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a designer point of view, Fluent UI doesn't allow you to customize too much their components, but that is the whole purpose, right?
Yeah, so you can develop custom CSS and custom components. Then I don't think you need a separate component library, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, now let's jump into another pretty interesting topic. This is personally interesting to me. So, LaunchDarkly and Trunkbased development.
Yeah, so these are like one trunk-based development is a concept behind the release management, right? And LaunchDarkly also we are talking about it today because these two are going hand to hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a bit about this trunk-based development, right? So as you can see in the screen, the trunk or the main line, right? So if you are familiar with SVN, right? So it was way before like Git version control. So you had this concept called the trunk, which is the main branch as in Git, and you separate branches from the trunk and you create branches, right? That was in SVN. But always the trunk was the main one which is going for the production, right? So the same concept is coming here. The trunk-based development is for the rapid development teams, like who are trying to achieve their velocity, I would say, right? So rather than having these release branches for like every release, what they would have is like a one single branch, the trunk branch, which is like going for all the environments. Let's say the dev environment, the staging, the production. So you are targeting like daily releases, maybe like couple of days intervals, right? And you can actually create small feature branches, but they should not live long, right? So the idea is like all the team members and all the environments will have the latest updates soon as possible, and you will get the feedback from the customers, from the people who are using the application very rapidly, and you can evolve the products. So this is like evolving around the product mindset, I would say, right? So you get feedback fast, you fail fast, and you go for the next feature. And yeah, so we can also talk about LaunchDarkly.
Yeah, of course. So what LaunchDarkly does is feature flag control, right? So and product development mindset, as you said. So can you elaborate on these feature flags and product development mindset? I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like if you are going for trunk-based development, so there are like two set of people who can actually implement this. So one person, like one set of people would be like having like all the quality checks and all the automations in place, right? Who are like very considerate about this quality, right? And they have taken measures for that. And the other set of people is actually like who are not really worried about the quality. They just need the features out, right? So if you are a person who is in the middle, so I like recommend that you do not go for this trunk based development, right? And if you go for trunk based development, the scenarios are like your unfinished features or the like untested features might be in the production, right? And you might need a way to like prevent from everyone seeing those unfinished features, right? So some features might be in experimental mode. So LaunchDarkly is actually a platform where you can have small toggles. We call them feature flags, right? So you can have flags for each feature, and based on the environment and based on the user or the device or the geographical area, you can decide whether this feature should be shown to the user or not, right? And also like you can do certain A/B testing and canary testing. For an example, let's say you have released a new feature called A, right? You only want to show that feature to like 50% of the all users, right? So you can easily set that rules in LaunchDarkly, and it's a pretty like yeah, cheap option as well, right? So it doesn't like cost you much, but that power it gives to you is very good, right? So you can control your features and you can go to production every day, but still you are managing that quality and the never ending feedback loop as well. So try it out.
Yeah, of course. So trunk-based development is always about rapid deployment. It's about speed, and
Yes.
and yeah. So if you are concerned about quality, you have to go through thorough testings, right?
Yeah, so the new cycle of development, I would say. So previously we had this waterfall, then came agile, right? Now it's trunk based development. So people are going towards like daily releases as soon as they want to, right? So what we are doing is like we are in a like competitive world, right? So many people are providing solutions. So to get the maximum output, right, and the maximum ROI, what we are trying to do is like give out the features soon as possible, and you will have to compete with other vendors as well, right? and we have to show that our development team and our methodologies that we are using is the best ones, and they can give you the maximum output like within small number of days, right? So that's the arena that's been opened. So trunk-based development is something that you would really need to look into.
Yeah. I'm just curious about the differences between SVN. If SVN is Apache subsystem, right, and JIT. JIT is the most popular one, obviously, and I guess it is the older one too. So I guess, what is your knowledge?
Yeah, as far as I can remember, Gayashan, SVN was the most popular one before, right? Before Git, and there was this visual source save.
SVN is the older one, right?
Yeah, SVN is the older one. It was like way back in 80s, I think. And
I guess Microsoft has some kind of solution before that.
yeah, I think there was something called a visual source save, right? That came with Visual Studio, the older versions. Then they changed it to TFS, the Team Foundation server, right? And I think it also died after a couple of years with Git. So Git is having all these amazing capabilities. You can merge the pull request and the offline committing, rebasing, whatnot, like stashing, and a lot of features are there.
And
So
we are using them each and every day in the development.
yeah, the thing is, like with Git, there is this term called GitOps, right? So everything, the automation actually revolves around this Git now. So it's a must, and you have to like work with that.
Yeah. So if you go into trunk-based development, LaunchDarkly is an amazing product, obviously. Okay. As the next topic, let's talk about Serverpod. And Serverpod 1.0 released like days ago. It's a brand new trend, I guess. And what is the importance of Serverpod?
Yeah, so this server port is actually a mobile based backend, right? I would say this is for Flutter, right?
Yeah.
So I am not really familiar with the server pod a lot, but the thing is, like, the concept behind it, the server pod is really amazing. That's why I really need to talk about this topic, right? So if you are familiar with, or if you have heard about TRPC, right? So I would say, like, server pod is the TRPC for Flutter, right? So I'll say a few words about TRPC as well.
Yes.
So basically, what is happening is, like, now, since TypeScript came out, right? So you get to develop the backend and the front end with TypeScript.
Yeah.
And TRPC is a real-time type translator, or I would say like a proxy generator, right? So you can write the server-side APIs with TRPC router, and by looking at the URL and by using TRPC client, you can actually generate the front-end code, the client, to consume the API. So the server pod is actually following the same concept, right? It has the server-side backend, which actually using these, which is actually exposing its APIs, and the Flutter is capable of generating its client proxy for the backend in like on the fly. You don't have to like look at the API and write the Pojo classes, then generate the client APIs and do all the wiring ups, right? So it will take like couple of seconds to wire up a backend. That's the whole idea.
Yeah. So with REST APIs, we don't get that capability, right? We use Swagger and all, but it's not very capable as a TRPC. RPC and gRPC.
Yeah, so if you can remember this WCF, right, or the WSDL, there are tools that comes with maybe Visual Studio or any other IDE which you can really like link a URL of your web server, right, the web API, and generate the clients, right. And if you talk about gRPC, that's not TRPC, the Google protocol BUP, right. So it has this amazing capability of generating clients for like different languages, right. It's not one, it's many. So the idea behind the gRPC is like you have this protobuf file which is having the contract or the skeleton of the API, and by looking at that you can generate the client side code for different like vast range of clients. It can be .NET, it can be Java, Python, Rust, you name it. Yeah.
So as a front-end developer or a back-end developer, I guess in 2023, it's I highly recommend to look into the gRPC. It's like a huge trending topic in the last few months.
Yeah, so the gRPC actually like was an internal product with Google first, right? Then they open sourced it, and by open sourcing, I think they gave a huge momentum, a hype to the product, right? Just like they did for Kubernetes, right? So the thing with gRPC is like you can't really use it directly on the browser. Like if you expose a gRPC endpoint, so the browser is not capable to like consume its content, because gRPC is sending the data as binary, right? So the browser is only capable of understanding text, right? So but if you use gRPC in the backend, like backend in the sense like let's say you have a couple of microservices, or you have a desktop and API which is residing on the server, right? Then you can use gRPC, and gRPC is like extremely fast, right? It's maybe like 10 times or 20 times faster than a REST API. And it's pretty nice about these generators, code generators. So with web APIs like JSON web APIs, you can't really generate exact code to consume the API, but with gRPC, that's not the case. Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. So okay, now let's jump into the next topic. We talked about ChatGPT in the last episode.
Yeah.
And how you can generate codes. We actually did a little demo how to generate codes, right?
Yeah.
And also text. So you can generate codes or text for your school or university assignments, because normal plagiarism tools cannot detect those, because they are generated by AI, which is which thinks most likely as a human, right?
Yeah, the thing with plagiarism tools is like what it will do is like it will search the internet, right, and find out whether those sentences are already there.
Yeah.
Now with these generative AIs, they are generating new sentences, right? So with the normal plagiarism tools, you can't really identify that because it's not there. It's a new sentence.
Yeah. But there is always a
But-
but.
Yeah.
If you are a cheater, be careful. Now there are tools out there like GPTZero to catch you.
Yeah. So let's talk about GPTZero.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing my screen. So if you can go to gptzero.me, right? And it's actually you get a free version of GPT-0 where you can put some text and see whether it's been generated by an AI or not. So the thing with ChatGPT is like it's already been overwhelmed by a lot of users, right? So I am trying to use something called ChatSonic instead of ChatGPT.
Oh, it's like it's flooded, right?
It's flooded,
It
so you can't
always-
go there anymore.
Yeah.
So I will generate a simple text here, right? So let's say write a Facebook ad chat Sonic. That's the default one. Let's say write ad for Lotus Tower, right?
Chandima, I think you can move the laptop towards you because we cannot hear you properly if you are not near the mic.
Okay, can
Now
you hear
that's-
me now?
Yeah, now that's fine.
So write a ad for, let's say, an ad, right? Let's it will really identify that Lotus Tower, and in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
Let's try, rather than general AI, we'll think about this travel guide. As a travel guide, what will happen? And if we go for the enter, so let's see what it will generate. So come and experience the breathtaking beauty of Lotus Tower in Sri Lanka, right? So actually it's a very nice place if you want to visit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this generated text and go to chat GPTZero
Yeah.
and paste it out, right? And I can click on this get results. So you can see it will show you like which text actually being generated by generative AI, right? And some of the sentences, of course, it can be written by a human.
Yeah.
So there is no like 100% guarantee that all of these things can be recognized by a tool, right?
Yeah.
So
and
I can actually show you another thing, right?
Mm.
So this is one of the, let's try something like this Avalonia UI, right? So here, let's say this text, right, which is I don't know whether it's been written by person or not, but let's try what happens if we copy and paste that value, right?
we will see. We will find out soon.
Yeah. So copy and paste this one and click on get result. Okay, so it needs more data.
It's too short, right?
Yeah, so maybe we'll add more. So and get results. Your text is likely to be written entirely by a human. So you can test out the accuracy of the product, right?
Yeah.
So it actually recognizes that it's been written by some person, some developer maybe,
Yeah.
right? So that's amazing. Like I have seen like some competition which are being won by this ChatGPT or any other AI tools, right? The hacker rank competitions and any other like essay competitions, anything can be won by AI these days.
Yeah.
But this is a good tool that we can use to identify if the content was plagiarized.
Yeah. So what I did to try out GPT-0, I gave a legit article written by myself, not generated using AI tools, and it gave me numbers like ranking the plagiarism of the article. It said like 2 or 3 sentences is likely written by AI, but other things are fine. And as overall, 98% of the article is likely written by authentic writer, authentic human writer. So yeah, so
Yeah, I guess what is happening is like whatever the words that you use, right? It's part of English, so it should be somewhere which can be generated by an AI, right?
yeah.
So there's no 100% guarantee that it's not being generated.
Yeah, there is this saying that everything written in the human history has been written once or more.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but GPT-Zero is a pretty good tool. It's an amazing tool, and in the website they are telling that GPT-Zero is built for educators, and other normal plagiarism tools and other like HackerRank, things like that will soon integrate this technology to detect the generated codes and text by AI, right?
Yeah, definitely. So by you can see like a lot of AI tools are been emerging, right? So you get these DALI 2 and any other like lot of mid journey, right? So there are a lot of AI tools are being like emerge day by day. Likewise, right? So all the anti AI tools, or you can say like if you have a good force or you have a bad force, there's a equal force that is being built always, right? There's this
It's
balance that you have to keep.
Yeah, it's the universal law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this made of us to think about education, how we learn, and also how we do our jobs. There was this concern that copywriters do their jobs, will they obsolete? Uh, uh, there might be no value in the future, but I think it's not the case. The value of the authentic artist or authentic writer, it will be there, right?
Yeah, I think people are not really ready to give up on people yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much so. Yeah. So, and the other thing that I would like to talk about, like idea or insight. Our technology has evolved so much, but our education is not. Our technology has evolved from the Galileo's age to this. This is 2023, and we have evolved so much. But the classroom seems the same, right? So my personal opinion is we have to change the education system. We have to change the system that we are learning things, like giving all the facts and asking students to memorize all the facts.
Yeah, so I think like in earlier days, not earlier days, let's say in my days, right? So I was learning the same book which my father also studied, right? So we are repetitively like learning the same thing and over again, which is not necessary, because with the internet and these tools like ChatGPT, right? So the knowledge which was already there, it's a matter of seconds, right? You can go there and search for that and get the result. There's no need of like learning these things and like not the learning, like at least like memorizing these things. So you can actually invest that time to do creative things,
Yes.
right? And build new things, go for new science experiments, right? I think this will be a new era for us.
Yeah, exactly. So memorizing facts and everything, it's a nice touch, but using your brain power and your time is not worth it, I guess, because aggregating facts is just one click away, right?
Yeah, if you
With those
really
tools.
want, you can use a data lake, right? Put everything in and take out what you need at the moment you need.
Yeah. So yeah, in the learning we should focus on the creativity and also the understanding. That is how we can go forward as a human race.
Yeah, so the fundamentals I think you will have to learn, but the facts, details, and everything, I don't think we have to do the same thing over and over.
Yeah. So I guess that is a nice thing to think about. Actually, my I personally believe that these tools, these AI tools, will push the education systems to revolutionize itself, and I hope to.
Yeah, I think it already have begun that process, right? Even for the developers, now they feel threatened, like when will ChatGPT replace us? But that fear, I think it will drive us to new paths.
Yeah,
Right?
it will force us to think independently and use your creativity, use your brain. It is better than any AI. That's my personal opinion, but scientists say that human brain is the most complex and most beautiful thing created in the universe. So please use it.
And that's from the stars.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So I think we will wind up our podcast for today. We discussed pretty interesting things, and we also opened your comments and your ideas. What do you think about the podcast? Because this is our second podcast, the second session. So we will evolve with the time. We will add things, we will remove things maybe. So we are open to your suggestions and comments and everything. So yeah, finally, like, share and subscribe Bistec Tech Show. Also like Bistec Global LinkedIn page. We will see you in the next episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.